Beating the big guys, coming towards the end of the session. I'm going to talk about why you actually do have price advantage. I'm not going to talk about that from a data point of view. I'm going to come at it slightly differently from how we know how those businesses work and the margins that they need to make. And I'll talk about service advantages. Genuine advantages that you have over the big guys because they are big and really can't act and behave like you. Price advantages. Big means huge costs. Is it any wonder that the buyers for Comet aren't interested in the premises? They want the website. They want the business that goes with it. Yeah? Businesses that have large amounts of property carry enormous costs. Macklin, £41,000 a year per employee of cost that they are carrying. A huge amount of money, a huge amount of cost that needs to be recovered. And a huge recovery means a huge margin. We know by looking at the report and accounts for the likes of Macklin, it's 100% markup on average. What does that mean about loss leaders? It means that for every loss leader there's something that's being sold at above 100%. Yeah? And a good example of that is supermarkets. You go to Sainsbury's, we sell Duracells at about £1.70. Yeah? Sainsbury's supermarkets are retailing near £4. So we know they're marking them up by that kind of order of magnitude. I did some research on milk, because everyone thinks of milk as being a bit of a loss leader, a bit of a staple. Yeah? You hear about farmers not being able to make any money out of it, therefore it's because the supermarkets are selling it so cheap. No, they aren't. They are marking it up 36% in their own right. We know nobody's making a killing in the tech chain. Our experience tells us that these big guys are buying at massively large amounts less than you. What does all that mean? It means we need to do some sums, which is why I got our friend up there. Small discount plus larger markup equals, the way I'm talking about it, it means no advantage over you. It wipes itself out. Yeah? Where they started, because they have some purchasing power over you, though it isn't much, they lose because they mark up by at least 100%. The amount of customers I go and talk to that mark up their goods by 100%, I could count, well, I wouldn't need any fingers. 1.6 is probably the highest I've come across. I spoke to a guy on the price comparison survey. He said to me, can you do it for me? Just take everything you sell to me and add on 20%. Most people are in around the 30 to 40% range. Okay? Nowhere near 100%. And just consider this. If they are buying 20% less than you, which they are not, it's more like 10, you can mark up by 60% and still price match. Surprised? Well, we've got other data coming later that will support where you are on pricing based on the price comparison survey. Let's talk about service. You versus the big guys. The big guys, they're big organisations. They have huge amounts of management. They've got all these fancy procedures. We'll be there. They have all these fancy procedures in place that they have to go through to get things done. Can you see where this is going? They have to take product stocking decisions months in advance. In fact, the outlet has very, very little responsibility for doing any of that. The outlet is pretty much open and close the doors and make sure everybody turns up and that the shelves are stocked. Yeah, that's what the outlet does. Everything is centralised. And they have to sell at the prices that head office dictates. You can't go in and talk to the store manager and say, you know, well, I'll give you all my business if you could give me 50% discount. Just wouldn't happen. Whereas you are nimble. You're small. You don't have all these layers of management. So you can take advantages of any supplier offer the moment you see it. You make a choice. That looks a good deal. I'm going to buy that. And this is the really sweet one, you can treat customers as individuals. Your more loyal customers, your longer standing customers, your higher spending customers, you can treat differently from everybody else and individually to anybody else. So you can do a lot of stuff that they just have no idea, they cannot do. Don't underestimate those advantages, they are so, so important. Your challenge is to do with their marketing budgets and the fact that they are very good at making out they are good value. Yeah? Loss leaders, get people in. Big signs about prices convince you that they're price conscious and therefore they must be good on price. And the way they market themselves, the way they present themselves on TV, constantly price, 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 makes you believe that they are consistently always better value. But we know that those losses on those lost leaders have to be recovered. The business won't work. Yeah? They'll be out of business. And we know that you've got genuine margin advantage. Yeah? You don't need to mark up to the same extent that they do and make enough of a profit to operate and function perfectly happily. But that's the big issue. Your prospects, the people who have yet to use you, think your pricing is worse than it is. Or the other way around is, your pricing is better than they think it is. They are brainwashed into believing otherwise. And that is why I talk about the need for you to be more assertive. Because this is the very point that we need to get into. You need to start pointing out and changing prevailing beliefs. Not as difficult as it sounds. Because ultimately, it's about how to get your fair share. There's a good blog on this. It's called Dominate Your World. We sat down and worked out how to calculate the value of business that works within what you call your catchment. The average shopper will travel about 4.5 miles to shop. There's some sources on there about where you can find population densities. Britain has an average of 70% computer usage, information like that. 10% we took was the amount of business that would be a reasonable amount. In the Leeds area, we worked out the business was sitting on how much business do you think? If he took 10% of his fair share, what would that be worth to him in turn? £3 million. £3 million. Okay, huge amount. Okay, it's Leeds, it's a city. You may work more rurally. But even there, you're still talking about a considerable amount of business that's potentially available to you. So the only reason it's not coming to you is because it either doesn't know you're there, or it doesn't yet believe that you are better, and it doesn't want to take the risk of trying you out and being disappointed. So, you did it. And you're already competing with the big guys. We've argued that on the basis, we've come at it in a particular way. This afternoon we're going to come at it entirely differently based on the information from the pricing survey, and it will tell you the same thing. Okay? So conclusively, you're already beating the big guys, basically.